Welcome to the Becoming You show, where limits get torched and possibility takes the mic. I'm Leah Rowling, human in permanent beta, neurostrategist, mom to 3 amazing humans, married to 1 legendary soul, and your no fluff permission slip to stop waiting. Every week, we rewire brain patterns, smash hand-me-down mindsets, and dive into the daring, identity-shifting conversations most people dodge. Ready to turn potential into proof? Grab your pen. Your next chapter starts now. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the Becoming You show. I am your host, Leah Rowling, and I am so excited that you're joining me for this conversation. I'm going to let you know, I'm going to give you a fair warning. I'm going to be a little feisty today because this is an important one. I like to think that all the conversations are impactful in some way, at least it's my hope. But this one in particular is one that I keep meeting in my coaching calls and in the world, and I'm probably not going to hold back. So get ready, and we're going to dive right in. So somebody says something to you. Okay, one sentence, maybe it's a text, maybe it's a look across the table, maybe it is a comment in a meeting that they didn't even think twice about. Maybe it's a mention or a comment on a post that you have on any of your social media profiles, and it takes you out. It takes you out, not for a minute, but for the entire day, right? You're replaying it in the shower that night. You are writing the response, right, that you're probably not actually going to send. You are lying in bed at 11 o'clock, still chewing on it. And this is true for what was said, and it's also true for messages that you send that just go ghosted, okay? So wherever you are meeting me in this conversation, just know that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if what was said or if it was what was ghosted. Okay. And here's the part that I want you to get upset about. Maybe just a little mad. The person that said the thing or the person that ghosted you in the thing, they're asleep. They forgot. They have zero idea, no clue, right? That you've been carrying their one careless sentence, their one careless comment, or a lack of comment altogether around like a second job. Okay. You gave them a full day. I want you to consider this. You gave them a full day of your one and only life. And we are done. We are done with that today, okay? And I want to be clear right up front because this word gets misheard fast, okay? I'm not going to teach you today to care less. You should know my heart by now. I'm not going to teach you to go cold and to wall up and to walk around, with your chest puffed out and the volume turned down on the world so that you are unreachable. That's not the title of this show, of this episode. I'm going to teach you something most people do not even know is possible. And that is becoming unoffendable. Unoffendable. Now, before you go and tell me that you're not all that easily offendable, right? I want you to consider that any judgment that you have against anyone else for any reason at all, right, is someone that allows themselves to be offended, right? So if you think thoughts like they shouldn't do that or they should do it this way, that is judgment. That is judgment. And in that judgment, you are allowing yourself to become offended, becoming offended by the very thing that they didn't do that they should have, or that they did that they shouldn't have. Okay? And let me say the thing almost nobody says. A lot of us are addicted to it a little bit because being offended feels good. It feels righteous. It puts us in the right and them in the wrong. And being right is really a comfortable place for us to kind of set up camp. So part of this conversation today is going to be admitting that you have been getting something out of staying offendable, and then the practice of just becoming unoffendable. Okay. And I'm going to walk you through the whole thing. So, what is being offendable? What is it actually? Okay. So, let's talk about what it's not. Unoffendable is not numb. It's not numb. Like I said, I'm not going to ask you to feel less. That is not strength. And it doesn't even work, by the way, because the stuff that you think you're finding away, the stuff that you think that you're numbing, doesn't go away. It doesn't just leave. It just goes underground and runs the show from down there. So we can thank the fines for that. It's not a wall either, right? And this is the one that a lot of people miss. The same wall, I want you to consider this, you guys, the same wall that keeps the insult out, that keeps the offense out, keeps the love out too, right? The people with the thickest armor are not the safest people. They're not. They're the loneliest, I find, most times. Okay? That is not what we're building here. What we're building is sovereignty. Unoffendable is sovereignty. It's becoming the kind of person who cannot get knocked over, not because nothing reaches you, but because you finally took back the one thing that you kept handing away to anybody who wanted it. And that is the keys to your own inner world. So here's the thing that nobody tells you about offense. And it's the line that I want you to actually let land because it changes everything. And almost nobody will coach you into this, okay? And that is this. Offense is not something that happens to you. Offense is something you do. Now, the first time people hear this, it sounds like I'm blaming you for your own pain. And I'm not. I am handing you your own power. There's a huge difference. There's a huge difference. And this is where we're going to go today. Because between what somebody says or doesn't say and what you feel, there is a gap. There's a space. And it doesn't feel like one. And it feels instant. Like the comment went in, right? And the hurt came right out with nothing in the middle. But there's always something in the middle. And that is a thought, okay? It is the meaning that you gave the thing. It is the story that you told yourself about what it meant that they said what they said, okay? The comment, what was said, or again, what was not said, I coach a lot around ghosting, okay? That did not create the feeling. The meaning that you gave the comment or the ghosting created the feeling. Same sentence, I want you to consider this too. Same sentence, two different people. One is wrecked for a week, the other one barely blinks. Why? The words were identical. The only thing that changed was the thought that each person had about it. Okay? And if your thought is the thing that's creating the feeling, then your power has been sitting right where you left it the whole time. You are not at the mercy of every careless thing that every person says or doesn't say or does or doesn't do, right? You are at the mercy to your own thinking about it. And your own thinking about it is the one thing in all of this that actually belongs to you. So I'm not minimizing your pain. I'm offering your power. So the refrain I want you to hear today, and I will keep coming back to, is when you got offended, you made a decision. You just didn't realize that you were making one. Okay? So let's take the two directions that you get moved from, and we're going to start with the outside because it's the easiest one, right? Most of us are very well aware of that, right? So the outside is the other people. It's their opinions, it's their reactions, it's their reads on you. It's the things that they say or the things that they don't say, but you feel anyway. And here's what you have to make peace with. You've just got to make peace with this, friends, because there's no version of your life where this is not true. People are going to have opinions about you that are wrong. They are going to have opinions of you that are unkind. That is not the risk. Okay? That is a guarantee. As long as you are visible, hear me say this, as long as you are visible, as long as you are doing anything that matters at all, as long as you are putting yourself out there with any level of authenticity, genuineness, passion, anything at all that matters, somebody is going to be wrong about you. Someone is going to get you wrong. And some of them are actually going to say what they think out loud. You cannot control that. And you will burn, and I've seen it happen, your whole life down trying. So the work is not to get every person to see you correctly. The work is to stop treating every opinion like a verdict that you are required to answer, that you are required to respond to, that you are required to hurt from. Somebody's opinion of you is information about them, not a ruling about you. When a person tells you who they think you are, they are showing you their lens. They are showing you their fears. They are showing you the kind of day that they are having. The story that they run about people like you is about them, right? They are offering up to you a window inside of them. They're not reporting a fact about you. And so you get to take it exactly as it is and has always been. It's a data point about them. And you can look at it. And if there is something true in there, take it. Grow, keep moving. You are not too fragile to hear hard things. You're not. And you can stop standing trial for the things that you were never actually charged with. And the minute you stop doing that, it loses all its power. It loses all its power. So we can just let what was said be said. And we can take on any truth of that. Most of the time, what people have to offer, I can find some truth in it. If people tell me that I am reckless with my words, yeah, for sure, sometimes I can be. When people tell me that I'm selfish about the amount of self-care I offer to myself, yeah, you're probably right. I don't find any offense to it because it's all things about myself that I've made peace with. I'm a human that's going to be imperfect. Okay. So what else you got? Right? When people want to criticize me, I often say, like, hey, we should just do lunch sometime. We have a lot in common. There's no one that's going to be more critical of me than me, and we'll get to that. So get in line, buddy. And stop taking everything so seriously. Okay? So that's outside. We're going to let it be outside. And we're going to let whatever they say, right, allow us to learn something more about ourselves where we have judgment of self. Or we're just going to give it back to them and say, you could just be wrong about me. It's no problem. Okay? Now we got to work on the inside. Okay? This is the hard one. And this is the one that almost everybody skips because it's kind of uncomfortable. But it is the one that matters the most. Okay? Your meanest critic is probably not the person who said the thing. It's you. It is you. So here is what actually happens when something gets us, right? Somebody says a careless thing. Somebody says what they say. Okay, and then your own mind picks it up off the floor and you build a whole case out of it. They say one offhand comment and a voice inside you goes, see, I knew it. I told you. This proves the thing that you've always quietly been afraid is true about you. They must be right. And then there's tremendous shame. And when that doesn't feel great, then there's blame for them for saying the thing. And that blame shame loop is exhausting. We just have to come back to the truth of what happened. The truth is they dropped a sentence and walked off. You were the one that took it home. You were the one that took it home, into the shower, into your sleep, into the next day. And I also want to bring this to you with love, is that voice inside doesn't need much. It doesn't need a whole lot of provoking. It could take one careless thing that a stranger said, somebody that you don't even know, on your social, in your day-to-day, and use it to confirm a story that you have been telling yourself for years, decades. Being unoffendable on the inside means you stop letting it. You stop loaning your peace to people. Today, you stop. I would love for you to just announce that to yourself. Today, I stop. Make that be that demarcation line in your world and say, today, I stop. I stop giving my peace to other people. And I want you to think about how strange that arrangement that you've made with your life is. Some person, okay, let's break this down, because I really want you just to be able to stop, like today, full stop. So some person, okay, having probably not their best day, maybe their worst moment, says something, says a thoughtless thing, and you take that thoughtless thing and you give it the authority to be thoughtless to yourself. You let the most careless version of somebody's worst day define you. You would never sign up for that on purpose. None of us would. But most of us are quietly living inside that exact deal, that exact arrangement. When was that arrangement made? I want you to renegotiate the deal. You hold the pen. You get to write the new contract. You get to do that. And I hope that you do that today. And I hope that you come back to this conversation every time you need the practice at doing it. Because it is a practice, my friends. It is a practice. And so I want to take you somewhere now where this conversation doesn't normally go. Because so far, this sounds mostly about your feelings, okay? And about not having your day ruined, right? Not by the outside and not by your inside, okay? And all of that matters. But this is so much bigger than your afternoon. This is so much bigger than your lack of REM sleep last night. And I really, really want you to feel the size of it, okay? Being offendable doesn't just cost you days, rest, sleep. It quietly makes decisions for your entire life. Most people never catch it happening, okay? So here's how it works. When you are somebody who gets moved, right, offended by what somebody else says, by what other people might think, you start managing for it before you even act. It happens underneath you, kind of below that waterline. You don't send the message because what if they take it wrong? You don't say what you actually want to say because you don't want to be that disruptive. You don't raise your hand in the room because what if it sounds dumb? What if you actually don't know the answer? What if it's just a guess? Right? You don't start the thing, launch the thing, apply for the thing, say the thing, because some part of you already knows and is bracing for how it might land and who might have a comment about it. And so, without ever sitting down and choosing it, without ever rearranging, right, that arrangement, without redefining the contract, you start capping your own ceiling. You shrink the dream down to a size that feels safe from judgment. You soften the thing that you actually wanted to say. You live 1 inch smaller than you really are everywhere you go. And here's the part that gets me. It's the part that I want to shake you on just a little bit. You don't call that fear. You call it being careful. You call it being realistic. You call it being humble, right? Being appropriate, being a team player. It wears a lot of respectable labels. It does. But it is none of those things. It isn't. It's your life getting run by an arrangement that you made that you haven't renegotiated on. That's it. That was a decision. It was a decision to not play your life big, to not show up in your life with the full truth of who you are. And most of us don't even realize we're making it. Right? So I want you to hear me say this. The tragedy in this, you guys, isn't that you went for something great and got judged. I would love for you to do that. Because then you get practice working on becoming unoffendable. That is not the tragedy. That's the gift. The tragedy is that you never went for it. And you never even knew the reason was that you were protecting yourself from people whose opinions are not going to matter at all on the very last day of your life. Because that really is what offendability costs. It's not a bad mood. It's not a ruined shower. It's not a restless night of sleep. It's a whole capped life. A whole capped life. That is the importance of this conversation today. So I want to clear up one thing before I hand you a practice, because people get a little nervous, right? And I want to talk you out of it. Unoffendable does not mean that you let everything slide. It does not mean everything is fine. It does not mean that you don't have boundaries. It does not mean that you turn into a doormat who absorbs whatever anybody wants to hand you and just smiles and waves. That is not sovereignty. That is a level of self-abandonment with better manners. Okay? I want you to hear the difference. You can become completely unoffended and still say no. You can be unbothered and still walk out the room. You can decline. You can address it straight. You can remove yourself from something that is not okay, all without your inner world getting set on fire. In fact, you will be able to make those calls, hold those boundaries from a steadier place than an offended one. Because now you are choosing on purpose instead of reacting from a wound. You are deciding from a level of consciousness, from a level of intentionality, instead of just reacting to what the world will throw at you. So again, sovereignty is not the absence of care and standards. It's quite the opposite. It's honoring the standards with such a conviction that you don't have to prove them wrong for your own belief. Okay? So, when we do this work, okay, this is what we get to do, right? Number one, you take the piece off the table, and you do this in advance on a calm day before any moment shows up, right? It's really hard to negotiate this contract when your heart is pounding and your body's on fire. You decide ahead of time that your steadiness, your nervous system regulation, your peace is not up for grabs. It's not up for sale. Okay? That your inner world is not on offer to every person who wants to walk by with an opinion. Okay? You make it a settled thing right now. So when the moment comes, you're not deciding from a place of disruption. You already know who you are and how you're going to meet that moment. Okay? Second, 2 questions, right? When you feel the heat, because you will, because you're human, and you kind of feel that familiar pull to jade, right? To justify, to argue, to defend, to explain, you get to ask yourself 2 things. 1, is this true? Is this true? Is what they're saying true? You'll probably find some truth to it. Otherwise, there wouldn't be the heat. Okay? Work on the truth for you. Is this mine to carry? That's it. A lot of what comes up fails the carry part. You don't have to carry all of this. You just have to make peace with it. If there's truth to it. If there's not truth in it, why are you holding it? Give it back. Give it back. And the last thing, the part of you that wants to fire back, the part of you that wants to win, the part of you that wants to be right, the part of you that wants to get the last word, prove them wrong. Here is what I want. Here is what I do not want you to do with it. I don't want you to obey that part of you. Okay? I also don't want you to shame it. I want you to thank it. That is the part of you that learned somewhere in your life that you had to fight to be okay in whatever way. That you had to defend and preserve your own enoughness and worthiness and mattering. Thank it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having my back. Thank you for wanting to fight this for me, but we don't need to fight this truth. Thank you for the loyalty. That is how you become unoffendable. That is how you become unoffendable. And so everything that I walked through today isn't kind of a one and done decision. Like you heard me say this, so now you're all of a sudden unoffendable. No, it is a practice. It is a practice, and it is harder to build it alone. It is harder to build it in your head with nobody around you doing the same work, challenging the decisions that you're making unconscious to stay comfortable from the judgment of other people. Those are blind spots that most of us can't see. They're called blind for a reason. And that is the whole reason that Inner Lab exists. Okay? Inner Lab is where this stops being a podcast that you nod along and maybe take some notes to and maybe share with friends. And it turns into the actual work that you do with real people doing it right next to you. And this month, we are living inside one word, and that is possibility. That is possibility. Because remember what I told you? So many people are quietly making decisions for their life that are limiting them, that are capping their ceiling, that are shrinking them, and they do not even know that is what they're doing. Remember? I told you they were being careful, right? When they were actually getting smaller. This month, inside the lab, we're catching those decisions before they get made. We are taking the ceiling down on purpose together. We are practicing living from possibility instead of from protection. So, here's where I'm going to leave you today. If you're not in the lab, join us this month. It will be the best month of your year. You were not put here to live one sentence away from a bad day. You were not. I want you to think about how ridiculous that sounds. You were not put here to live one sentence away from a bad day. You were not put here to hand your piece over to every person that handed you an opinion, right? Or to let your own mind prosecute you with words that a stranger dropped and forgot. And you were absolutely not put here to cap your own life, to stay safe from an imagined judgment of people who are not even thinking about you. When you get offended, you made a decision. And in that decision, you got smaller, right? You did not know you were making one, and now you do. And the second that you can see it, a decision that you either make or you don't, you get to make a different one. You get to make a different one. Make that one. Make that one. Okay, my beautiful friends. Have a beautiful, beautiful weekend. And I will see you next week. Take care, everybody. If this episode cracked something open, good. Let it. And then head to leahrollingcoaching.com and grab the tools to rewire the story and reclaim your future. It is yours. And then share this with someone who's still waiting to be chosen, still waiting for permission, and remind them they don't need a breakthrough, that they are the breakthrough. Until next time, my beautiful friends, invest in you.